Hello with you, Elena. Today I want to discuss with you such a non-standard situation. A very strange phenomenon, yes, and a point has grown in height, but more on that later. Now we will be talking about symmetric side onycholysis looking very strange, yes, very scary, I would say. This is on 2 unnamed fingers. The client insists that she did not receive any mechanical injuries, that is, she did not hit anywhere, did not hit anything. Coincidentally, she had the same thing on 2 fingers, but she doesn't get her manicure done here. She knows onycholysis can't be covered with color, so she didn't try. Whether it's a base or gel reinforcement, a transparent layer is still visible on it. But the problem here is that she didn't quite get the point. The trick of onycholysis is that you need to remove the length, clean it up, not paint it with color. Well, in any case, these are our initial data. And now we will try to solve these problems and also try to get to the truth. How could this happen? As a result of what? And, by the way, she also said that she had an inflammation with pus on one of her fingers. Such interesting information. First, what do I want to do? It's natural to resort to antiseptics, especially given the recent circumstances that we all love. Of course, without this, we're going nowhere. And now we're starting to figure out where her stress zone is. That's why I'm extending the free edge. And here's the spot where the nail slightly peels off for us. I think it's clearly visible and is a stress zone. The stress zone is not just called that for no reason. This is the place that is most exposed. To stress again in case of mechanical action. That is, as soon as our nail tip gets pressed or we poke somewhere naturally due to stress, we will have a crack or some other consequences. But now let's get down to business directly. Yes, the first thing I do is with a hard alloy cutter, I just remove all the free edge because we don't need the length, there's no thickness in any way. I wouldn't say it's huge, the architecture is slightly incorrectly executed. But who among us hasn't learned or started? It's not a crime. No one should be punished for it. I also know that the master who will watch this video, she is subscribed to me and she recommended her client to turn to me in this case. So this video is partly for her. I really want her to watch it. We will sort out some misunderstandings there, and for now let's get back to our analysis. Everything is simple here. I count the entire gel that we have left on the nail or base as a full. I didn't understand what the reinforcement was made with. I file the free edge, because the primary task is to completely remove the length so that there is no stress on the free edge of the nail. Next, we file the surface of the nail, also removing any remaining material so that nothing interferes with us. You can do this with a file, you can do this with a cutter. I really love to work with a 180 grit file. Gently and accurately I go over it, although honestly speaking, watching the video now, it looks quite harsh. Let's continue. Our task will be to clean. And this pocket, in which something possibly has already accumulated, maybe even something is lying, I take pieces. These are cuticle pieces, but they are not working, so I just trim the nails as the nail is soft enough. This is an important moment. It's not very pleasant to file it and especially hard to deal with the corners, so I cut them right away. And yes, it turned out a bit uneven, but that's okay because we're going to buff it now. And let's look at this very corner, which we also need to cut now. Look how soft it is. So we looked and I asked the client, she said that it's really yes. Her nails are very soft, so she can't go without a coating and without reinforcement. That is, I only slightly filed it and it's already like leather. Accordingly, either the nail itself was overfiled here with a drill bit. This really happens, or initially such data that the nails are soft as skin. And so she says, yes, look what I got there, yes, a piece of something. And so she said, the fact that she has a very mobile elastic nail, and if she does not cover it, they just break. And it's quite possible that the following situation happened with her. As you may have noticed, the length was quite large, I would even say closer to the extreme. Extreme length is when the length of the free edge exceeds or equals the length of the nail bed. That is, if you do 1-to-1, you need to understand that in 2 to 3 weeks it will go straight to the extreme and the load will be increased. And if the nail plate is soft and perhaps slightly overfiled, it's permissible, but such a thing is quite possible, right? Many are afraid to press into the skin with the presser when they file and overfile because of this very plate. The crowd has thinned out, At the exit, we see a picture of a woman stuck somewhere, waving hello, possibly experiencing onycholysis. By the way, my nails were not in perfect condition either. Well, here we have already cut a small damaged piece, and inside we have various things, incomprehensible, various pieces. And we understand that it goes deep enough inside. We protect as we get everything that we don't need to see. But there's just such a hole. Calmly, it's not blood, it's just a deepening from the nail. There's a little keratosis, but it's not scary at all. We will clean this up now, bring it to nothing, because the main goal of onycholysis cleaning is to remove this detachment. The nails are detached in such a way that nothing is attached, so that there is no free edge left. At this moment it seems I explained something very cleverly. Next, we use sticks, tampon holders, or anything convenient to poke around with. You can check with a pusher, that is, where it chains. We cut everything. We cut into pieces until it is technically feasible, and then everything must be ground with cutters. And yes, I really like to work with nippers, such pieces that are for cuticles, when I protect onycholysis. Although it makes sense to work here with straight cutters, which cut well for a grown nail, everything is cool, but I need a sharper and more precise tool, so I often take such pieces. Nevertheless, I have my own sharpening studio, so sharpening a tool isn't a problem for me. Even if you don't have such a thing at hand, get yourself some unnecessary ones that no longer cut the cuticle and you don't particularly like. But you can work on nails with them. Next, we took a very sharp cutter with a blue tip, a flame cutter, and we clean up the remaining skin where it gets in our way. The hands are a bit moist here, or even I would say quite a lot. Nevertheless, you can use, by the way, a powder. Well, while we were filing here, our file has dehydrated the whole finger quite well. I'm just cleaning up, not doing a full manicure, to ensure nothing extra is left behind. Understandable, we didn't plan to cut the cuticle, we're just treating the finger, we're revealing all this business. Well, in general, I can't from one side just clean up in any case. And look, such interesting movements when you're with a cutter, that is, straight through this layer to the reverse side, you start to lift it somehow. And so it very softly, delicately peels off. And this process is absolutely painless, despite the fact that the bed looks bare because we really took off the nail from it. Pedicure masters will easily understand this manipulation. That is, this is when you open a crack on the toe. This is the principle of opening a crack. As a rule, here is onycholysis, here is this final stage of cleaning. We convince ourselves that nothing is bothering us, we check ourselves with an antiseptic. I do this just to remove the dust. So this is what a cleaned finger looks like. But in reality, it's not that terrible, not that scary. And now, to my message to that girl who did her nails, it's very clear here that she couldn't push back the cuticle and get under there. You can see how uneven the file is. Yes, we have a line that is parallel, not parallel. In growth, we have slightly shifted, but I repeat again, this is not a crime. It's not always possible to fit in, it's not always possible to turn the client's hand, and you can see that the nails are slightly flown, and it turns out not even, no, this is the wrong word, slightly grow upwards, but with everything. Despite this, they still manage to curl up and twist into a funny looking set. And now I'm showing a life hack, when after laying out the material, when the nail is ready, but it slightly peels off, you can start a file and clean it up. See how it's twisted, that is to properly lay the polygel, cut everything out in general. But since we didn't have the technical ability to do this, I just showed the client what can be done here. And now we just file it from the inside, and now you can pay attention that the coating has been on for several days, but the nail is already giving a setback from the inside. And it's not because some crappy master did it, but because the girl's nails are crooked, they curl up, turn over, and by their own growth force, they tear off the coating. So, is this normal? Well, this is not normal at all, of course, but such things happen with nails when they behave in this way. That is, there will be such a rejection along the free edge. And in this situation, you either need to simply grow these nails or lay them with polygel. to remove this twisting and sawing natural nails from the inside, but in my opinion it's easier to completely cut natural nails and grow it, because laying out sawing is a big waste of material. It's also nerves to sit this sawing. It's easier to just make new nails if the old ones are not satisfactory. However, this is not always needed. The client may be happy with the state of their nails. Perhaps they enjoy the wavy texture. It's not a crime, by the way. Meanwhile, I'm doing the same manipulations on the second hand. Therefore, I probably won't return to this issue. You just watch, and I will explain. Because I still wanted to finish the work on the mistakes and pass this information to the master who did the job. I know she's been doing nails not for very long, so maybe my consultation, or I don't know. Maybe call it remarks, although I don't want to blame her for anything, but in general, maybe it will be useful for her. And I will be glad if I can provide some information. The nails themselves are very sturdy here. Well, maybe not sturdy, but you get the point. Here, in a certain sense, the apex is lowered below the stress zone, that is, it needs to be raised slightly higher. And it is this that gives a weight to the free edge and a slight side curve, that is, the nail is slightly heavy and thick. That is, it would have been necessary to raise the main volume of the material slightly higher, and then the nails would have looked more luxurious and the stress zone would have been protected. But a very common mistake is that masters pile material on the tip, thinking that this will make the nail stronger. And now, by the way, pay attention, we are conducting archaeological excavations. On the nail, we get something that was there, and what does it look like? It's like when you're digging under your nails, you can't reach all sorts of things, it's roughly the same. This is exactly what is dangerous about onycholysis, that is, there is a pocket and something is digging in there. The remnants of products, life activities are digging. I don't know, they're food, lint from clothes, cosmetics, dead skin, all sorts of junk that is generally in our life, everything is collected there. And this is dangerous in terms of onycholism because there is a pocket. Wet, raw, dark, and hello to a new civilization. Alright, let's get back to my message that I want to pass on to the previous master. That is, I have a wish for her to raise the main volume of the material to the stress zone and a little higher, taking into account the stretch. Because if the stress zone was in the right place on these nails, her nails simply wouldn't bend. And the length here is really considerable, extreme. I also recommend, if anyone is ready for this, to listen. After covering, slightly shave the stump and check the parallels. Here it was easy to fix everything as, so to speak, we did. We've filed all 10 of the girl's fingers. I told her how to do it herself. That is, if suddenly next time something like this happens again, she can basically fix these tips herself. They are literally just barely catching on. Well, just barely. In fact, you can make it absolutely even, but they were slightly catching on and we easily corrected these shortcomings with a saw. Look, pay attention, the very corner, look what's left. In general, yes, it's fun, some kind of a little goat, and she carries all this with her, so to speak. That is, this is such an unpleasant moment. Once again, I repeat what I said about that master. Please don't be angry with me for saying this. I consider it my duty to bring this information. And if you don't know what your name is, unfortunately, if you want to write something to me, ask something about these nails, you can contact me directly. I will be happy to talk to you about this because I want the world to be better and the masters to be more professional. Because I explain again, I don't have competitors, I have colleagues, and we should exchange experiences and give each other advice. And it's so healthy when we all act together, when we are united, not when we compete, say I'm worse, she's better, there's something else. Don't envy each other. Let's be friends. Let's live friendly, like in the cartoon about Leopold. If anyone at all knows, girls, if there is someone here who knows who this cat Leopold is, please write in the comments. I want to know if we still have a lot of pensioners on YouTube and Instagram and everywhere. Well, we are already finishing cleaning with her. I think everything will be fine for us. I did not recommend or prescribe any additional care products for her, although you can get inks here. But I think everything will grow beautifully anyway, because the girl is young, her fingers are pretty, and everything will be great for her. Young girls grow their nails incredibly fast, just a week or two. The changes are just amazing. Understandable that an older woman? Regenerative and exchange processes are slower there, so a growth stimulator is necessary. Everything here is in perfect order, everything will grow exactly. She has my contacts and will write to me. I may consult her master and she will do the next cleaning herself. So, if anything, I'm waiting for your message in direct. Well, you know who I'm talking about. Well, I'm ready to show you. Now we will have our final result. This is what it looks like. I cleaned the small hole inside with antiseptic again. It's not blood, although it seemed like it at one point. It's just a slightly red depression. So these are the two beautiful fingers of what we've done. For now, she will go for a manicure with 8 fingers and these 2 fingers like this, nothing scary. The main thing is that the nails grow back. Safety and saving lives are the top priorities here, while beauty remains secondary. Thanks for watching. It was Alina. Leave comments. I'm always happy to chat. Bye.